I never thought a rickety old fence could turn my whole world upside down. But that's exactly what happened the day the HOA tried to carve up my family's ranch. I mean, you grow up thinking your land is yours, your sweat in the dirt, your name on the deed, and every splinter in those fence rails a memory. But, let me tell you, out here in small-town America, it doesn't take much for a rumor, or a bad decision, to spread like wildfire across the fields. That's how my quiet life turned into a storm. I just finished my morning coffee, boots still muddy from the chores, when I spotted a line of orange survey flags trailing across my pasture, neat as a snake in the grass. First thought? Some utility company made a mistake, maybe looking for a busted pipe or a power line. So I called around, county office, electric company, you name it. But the answer kept coming back the same. The HOA approved a new shared access path, right through my property. Not a knock, not a phone call, not even a heads up. Just strangers staking a claim like it was an empty lot. So I drove straight to the next HOA meeting. Thought maybe this was all a mix-up. Instead, there's Marcia, HOA president. All pearls and practiced smiles, telling me it's for the community, that it'll boost everyone's property values with a new walking trail. I stared at her, thinking, that's not a trail. That's my grandfather's land. She didn't flinch, just handed me a folder and said, it's already voted on. Nothing to discuss. Yeah, that happened. I left that meeting with my jaw clenched so hard I thought I'd break a tooth. Now, you gotta understand, I'm not the kind to back down. That night, under the porch light, I made a promise to the old fence posts and the ghosts of every calloused hand that came before me. Nobody's taking this land without a fight. I spent days sweating under the sun, reinforcing the fence, post by post, until my knuckles bled. It wasn't just a line in the dirt anymore. It was a statement. But sometimes, when you stand your ground, you end up shaking up more than you bargained for. Not long after, I started noticing things, a truck with out-of-state plates rolling by slow, someone lingering by the fence line, windows tinted too dark to see inside. A week later, I found a notice stapled to my gate, HOA letterhead glaring at me, claiming I'd violated community standards with unauthorized construction. Only problem was, my ranch had never been inside their jurisdiction. Their rules were supposed to stop at the old tree line. So, I dove headfirst into a pile of yellowed records, deeds, hand-drawn maps, even a dusty box of my dad's papers. That's when I realized, clear as day, a key page was missing from one of the property agreements. Looked like someone had pulled it out years ago. Suddenly, I knew this wasn't just an accident. Somebody had planned it, and that somebody didn't want me poking around. I tried calling Marcia, sent letters, left messages. Nothing. The folks who used to wave when they passed now looked away, and it felt like I was being quietly cut off. Let me back up a sec. This is where things started to get weird. One night, while I was sipping coffee on the porch, I caught a flicker of lights by the fence. At first, I thought it was just a raccoon messing around. But then I saw shapes, people, moving near the corner post. I grabbed my flashlight and headed down, heart thumping. By the time I got there, they were gone, but a fresh set of muddy boot prints led off into the trees. Next day, I called the county clerk. The woman on the other end of the line got real quiet when I mentioned my property number. She told me, in a low voice, there'd been some adjustments in the records lately, but wouldn't say who made them. Might want to come in, she whispered, then hung up fast. When I got there, the file was just gone. Clerk said the HOA had checked it out for review. How the heck does a neighborhood association get their hands on county documents? After that, it felt like I was living in a fishbowl. Barn latch left open. Tire tracks up near the back gate. Even a drone buzzing low over the pasture one morning. No new letters from the HOA, just silence. But silence like that isn't peace, it's a warning. And sure enough, one night just before sunset, a crew of men in vests showed up with trucks, unloading gear. Trail construction, HOA approved, they said, waving a permit in my face with my property number stamped on it. Only thing was, I'd seen the real deeds, and that permit was a fake. That night, I sat by my window, shotgun on the table, watching the fence line by moonlight. Hours crawled by. Then, just after midnight, flashlights again, bobbing along the fence, low voices arguing. I crept out, kept low. As I got closer, I heard them talking about pipeline connections and old surveys. My stomach dropped. Pipeline. There shouldn't have been any kind of gas line under my ranch. If there was, my granddad would have told me. That's when I saw one of them dig near the fence post, the metal of his shovel ringing off something solid. "If this leaks, it's on us," one said. The other grumbled back. "That's why we gotta get it off his property, before anybody finds out." Suddenly, it clicked. The walking trail, the fake paperwork, it was all a smokescreen. They weren't just stealing land. They were hiding an old, leaking gas line. Right then, I made a choice. I backed away. Crunch, a twig snapped, and a voice shouted, "Who's there?" I ran for the barn, breath burning in my lungs, feet barely hitting the ground. Inside, I pulled out my phone and whispered everything I'd seen, recording just in case. Next morning, I marched straight to the county office, video in hand. I told them everything about the fake permits, the midnight digging, the talk of a leaking pipeline. Within hours, the county sent an inspector. I watched as they dug at the same spot those men had worked, and when the shovel clanged against rusted metal, everyone went quiet. 2 feet down, they uncovered an old pipe, cracked and leaking, still hooked up to a main line that snaked under the whole subdivision. According to the maps, it should have been sealed off decades ago. The HOA must have known. That's why they tried to shift the boundary, so the leak wouldn't be on their land. News spread fast. The county hit the HOA with massive fines, ordered repairs, and called in the press. Marcia finally showed her face, tried to spin the whole thing as a misunderstanding, but the forged documents and my video told the real story. The power she'd held over the neighborhood vanished almost overnight. Funny thing is, a week later, I got a plain envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a copy of my grandfather's original deed, complete this time, missing page replaced, and a note. "Some fences protect more than land. Keep yours strong." No signature. I stood there on my porch, staring out at that fence, feeling a strange mix of relief and gratitude for whoever had my back behind the scenes. Life settled down after that. The county fixed the pipe, inspectors signed off my land as safe, and the HOA was left licking their wounds. Folks in town started waving again, this time with a little more respect. That fence I built wasn't just a line on a map anymore. It was proof, a symbol that you don't have to be rich or powerful to stand up for what's right, to keep your history safe. Every so often, I walk the fence line, running my hand along the rough wood, thinking of all the battles fought for a simple stretch of land. The mystery of that missing deed page still lingers. Maybe some stories are meant to have a little mystery. All I know is, some fences aren't just wood and wire. They're a reminder of who you are and what you're willing to fight for. And as the sun sets over my ranch, I can't help but wonder, what would you do if someone tried to take your land with a smile and a forged piece of paper? Would you fight? Would you dig deeper? Or would you let them cross that line? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Was I right to stand my ground? Ever had to fight for what's yours? Like, subscribe, and share if you believe every fence has a story, and every story deserves to be told.